Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for this video. Reading is such a big part of my personality, but I feel as though my YouTube doesn't reflect that, but that's all about to change. Starting from today, we're going to have monthly booktube videos. I love reading. I read every single day. I love talking to people about reading. I love watching book videos and I wanted to join in, quite frankly. So every single month we are going to pick out my TBR for the next month, talk about the books I've been reading that current month. We're going to do a little bit of a book journal, nothing major because I'm one of them people that starts about 100 hobbies and never finishes any of them. So bear with me. And talk through the different book clubs I'm in, etc, etc. So this is just kind of like the intro into my booktube journey. I'm gonna become a booktuber. Like, that's crazy. All my favourite people that I watch on YouTube are booktubers. They're just book videos. So I watch Emmy, I watch Sarah, I watch Laura. I'm sure I'm going to ramble a lot in this video, so let's get into it. I'm currently filming this on the 29th of January, so I've picked my books that are going to be in my February TBR. My reading goal for this year is 50 books because that's about 4 a month and that's about 1 a week. And yeah, that just works for me. I know that some people are like 200 and I have the time to be able to read 200 books, but I don't read that quickly, to be completely honest. So I've set 50. I think I read 40 something last year. So what I'm trying to do when I do like a monthly TBR, I'm going to pick 4 books. Basically the thing in my journal that I'm going to be doing is 25 books in 2025. That takes up half of my book goals for the year. But if there's one thing to know about me, it's that I am not that strict with myself. If I feel like reading something else, I will read something else. If I think, actually, I put that series on there, but I don't want to read it anymore, I won't read it. I'll just switch it up for something else. All of this is just kind of like a rough guide. So in my February TBR, we are starting off with God of Malice. Now, this is completely influenced by Emmy Rossum because I'm just obsessed and I feel like we have the same reading styles. So she basically said, if you're going into like a dark romance, this isn't the one to start with. But I feel like I can handle it. Like, I know I'm completely disregarding her advice, but anyway, it's kind of like, yeah, just like a dark romance. I think there's like mafia. I don't really know too much about it, but I've heard amazing reviews whenever I've seen it come up on any timeline, so I'm so excited to read it. It's a big series. I think there's like 6 or 7 books and they're all interconnected standalones. And for those who don't know what interconnected standalone means, because I didn't know, I just put 2 and 2 together, the books are standalone but they're connected. Like, they're in the same world, like similar characters, different couples from the same kind of story. That's what that means. That is the first book for my TBR for February. I feel like recently all I've done is read fantasy after fantasy after fantasy after fantasy, and I'm ready to just maybe come out of fantasy just for a little bit, just to like cleanse my palette. Okay, secondly, we've got one, I want to feel something, like I want to feel emotions, so I have picked If He Had Been With Me because I've seen this come up so much and I've never read it, and I feel like this is such a standard book for booktokers or booktubers to have read and I haven't read it. So it's between If He Had Been With Me and The Jar of a Thousand Kisses. So it's between those two, so if you've read either of them, I think I'll prefer one over the other, then let me know. But currently I'm going with If He Had Been With Me because I've never cried from a book, but I am such a sensitive and emotional person and I need to feel something. Okay, next, I don't know about you guys, but on my Goodreads it comes up with like little challenges, and if I see that I can like get an award for something, then obviously I want to do it. The community favourites challenge, and I think this is an epic quest, and you like browse the qualifying books, and Yellowface was on there, and I've heard so many people talk about Yellowface. I've read some of the books that are on that list, but I think it has to be like from when the challenge started, obviously. So Yellowface is one that I'm gonna read. I did put on here The Unmaking of June Farrow because I think it was Sarah Crowley that was talking about it and made me want to read it, but that has now changed. Whose video was I watching yesterday? I was watching Madison Cates reading the best books of 2024 Till We Find a 5-star, and she rated this a 4.5 star, but it just sounded like a perfect book that I wanted to read. This is A Song to Drown Rivers. It's not got too many pages and it's just like a standalone fantasy without like a 600-page book and loads and loads and loads of books in the series, so I'm quite excited. Short, cute, romantasy. I thought we'd have a quick chat about what I am currently reading. Along with the majority of the book community is Onyx Storm. I know this is a universal experience where I can't remember a single thing that happened in Iron Flame. I don't remember who these people are. I don't even remember what they're... I know they're fighting the Venin, but like I don't remember what the... I just don't know. So to be honest, I'm kind of just like reading this, not really understanding it and just getting excited when I see Xaden and Violet communicating. So maybe I will have to reread Fourth Wing, Iron Flame and Onyx Storm at some point because I just really don't remember, but I want to read it now while everyone's reading it. Since I've been reading and like obsessed with reading, there hasn't been many releases where it's this big of a release that like the whole world is waiting for, and now I'm at that stage waiting for it too, so I kind of wanted to get involved. I'm not really like too clued up on what's happening. There's a bit of romance. It's quite political. I'd say it's more political than the other books are. I think that's where my brain doesn't really understand it as much, but I'm enjoying it. There's still vibes, there's still tension, there's still chemistry, like it's good. I like it. I'm 31% of the way through and oh my god, it's a big book. I'm 245 pages through out of 779. I did not realise it was that big. Lord, I wonder why it was taking so long for my percentage to go up. What I've been doing at the gym is going on the Stairmaster and literally just stepping on the stairs for about an hour while I read because it means I get loads of pages in and I'm doing some cardio. So it's a win-win. That's my life hack for my Kindle girlies. My reading taste has basically gone into all fantasy and romantasy. Before it was historical fiction, but I think I overdid it and kind of just put myself off it for a little bit because you have to be so zoned in because it's quite historical and political, whereas in these books, beginner ones in the romantasy fantasy world, you don't have to be too locked in for, you're just there for a good time. Do you know what I mean? People that are getting into reading, I just wanted to give a few of my recommendations that don't take too much brain power, are just fun, easy reads and get you prepared for something that is like, oh my god, like one of these like jaw-dropping books. Starting off in the fantasy world, it depends if you want to go more Hunger Games vibes or like romantasy, if that makes sense, because there's romance in the kind of Hunger Game vibed ones, or there's just like more romance focused. So if you're going more romance focused, I would say the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy by Stephanie Garber. I ate that up. I loved it. It's fun. It's a bit more light-hearted than some of these other ones, and it's just this world where all these things happen and you like you don't even know what's real and what isn't, and it's just like a fun time. So those books are great and they're not too big. But if you want to go down like the Hunger Games higher stakes vibes, then starting off with Fourth Wing is quite a good one, and then you go into Iron Flame, then Onyx Storm, or you can go Powerless. And what was the one after that? Reckless? Powerless, then I think it's Reckless, and then there's going to be a third one come out. So they're quite good ones to get into. You may have heard a lot of people talk about acotar, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. So there's like 3 series. There's acotar, there is Throne of Glass, and there's Crescent City, and acotar is definitely the one I would recommend starting with. It's a lot more romantasy rather than fantasy. A book that I want to tell you guys about that I think is the only book I've ever given 5 stars to is Metal Slinger. Again, this was a recommendation by Emmy and I love it so much. Like I actually haven't stopped thinking about it, and usually with the fantasy, because I read so many of them back to back, I do forget stuff and I get them all tangled up in my head, but not this one. And it was just such a lovely world that was built, and you feel like you were fully submersed in it and you just get lost in the book. And I don't think I've ever read a book that quickly either. It is fantasy, but it's not quite as far-fetched as some of these other books. If you're not into the literal fairies, then maybe that's a good place to start. If you want to see what books I have been reading, my progress, some of my thoughts on books, I've only just started. Not leaving reviews, but kind of like putting my thoughts on my Goodreads. My Goodreads is darceylane, so please make sure to follow me on there. And as I say, I never used to leave reviews, and I felt so strongly about an ending that I read in Heavenly Bodies that I just had to leave a review because I can't even explain the emotion I was feeling and it wasn't a good one. Some people love that book and I did up until the end. So that kind of leads me on to my next point. I personally don't have one, but I have been following people's book clubs on Fable. So the book clubs I am in are Sophia Tuxford, Hiya. Got rudely interrupted by a phone call and then doom scrolled for about 20 minutes. So my tea's now finished, and anyway, to be completely honest, I only have just downloaded Fable when Sophia made a book club. So yeah, as I was saying, I've joined Sophia Tuxford's book club called Fully Booked. The book of the month for that book club is Onyx Storm, so technically I am taking part in that. Next one I'm in is Emmy Rosam's, and it's called What We're Reading. I'm not taking part in like the book club this month because I only just joined them, and Laura's one is Probably Reading, and that's Anathema. I don't know how you say it. Anathema. I don't know. Depending on what the book is, I'm not gonna like take part in all 3 book clubs. I'll probably just take part in one, if any, but it's just like, it's just something for me to check, and like you can talk to people in there, and if you wanted book recommendations that people give it you, and I don't know, it's just nice to like be in touch with more people in the book community. So the next part of this video is filling in my book journal, and I wanted to show you the books I did pick for my 25 in 2025. One of my resolutions this year was to journal more and to make more of a junk journal and a more of a scrapbook type of vibe. So that's what we're doing here. I saw a few of the book people that I follow do this, and I thought I want to do that. Because 25 books is 50% of my reading goal, I've included books I want to read and the series that they're in. So for example, I really want to read the Zodiac Academy series. So I've included all 9 books in my 25 and 2025. I like the academia side of the Fourth Wing series, and I feel like that'll be quite good. And I feel like there's quite a dark romance element to Zodiac Academy from what I've been hearing. Apparently the end of book 5 like literally breaks you in half. So I'm like halfway through book 1, and then Onyx Storm came out and I like paused. So I need to like get back into that. But then one of the main characters is called Darcy, so I'm like gassed. Next is I need to finish off Sarah J Maas's books. I need to read Crescent City. I don't know how I've not read Crescent City. So there's 3 books in that series. I actually have no idea what this is about, but I know that Sarah J Maas is like the queen of writing fantasy books, so I know I'm gonna love it. I know it's gonna be good. I know it's gonna be intense, and I know they're gonna be big books. I've put the Legacy of Gods series. So obviously in my February TBR, I've got God of Malice, which is the first book in the Legacy of Gods series. So there's 6 books in that series. I think it's all like different characters within the same world, but yeah, it's like dark romance, morally grey characters. This one is a little bit going back in time because these are the books I would have read maybe like a year ago, but the Boys of Tommen series, I have just seen so much about it on my TikTok, and every time I see like a snippet of it, I'm like, oh my god, I want to know what happens. So there is 5 books in that series. I don't know what I want to read first. I don't know whether I want to read Zodiac Academy, Legacy of Gods, or Boys of Tommen, but I feel like maybe I'll try and finish the first one in Zodiac Academy in February, so then I will have ticked off 2 out of the 25. I don't know. So anyway, that brings us to 23, and for the last 2 books I have picked the One Dark Window duology. I've got this downloaded on my Kindle and just never got around to reading it, and I don't know why, because loads of people say it's so good. So I finally thought I'll add it to this list. For me, I spend so much time on my phone and laptop and screens, so I feel like reading for me, I know obviously sometimes I read on my Kindle, but I don't count that as screen time. It's just like my time to zone out from the world, and I feel like maybe that's why I love fantasy books so much, because you're just in another world completely, because it's so far-fetched from real life. Like you don't relate it to yourself at all. Like, I don't know, you just completely get lost in it, which I absolutely love. That's why I wanted to just make that a part of this video, was doing my 25 books in 2025, because in a separate book I'm reading at the minute is The Artist's Guide. Is it The Artist's Guide or The Artist's Way? And it's like a self-help book, so I'm not counting that in like my book content. One of the concepts of this is having an artist date once a week, and it's just you with your inner creative side. The artist date, they say, is meant to be 2 hours. So every week I want to spend 2 hours on my journal, making the most of it. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this video, the first proper video into my booktuber career. I'm so excited to be doing these. I'm aiming for 1 book video per month, going over the books I read that month going over what I'm going to read the following month and stuff like that. But if you guys want more book focused content like reading vlogs or more consistent book uploads, then I'm sure I can incorporate that. I just wanted to test the water and see how this kind of content does on my channel, because usually I do more self-care based, wellness, mindset content. Reading is a big part of me and I want my YouTube channel to reflect who I am. I'm so excited. This has made me want to just literally sit and read my book for the rest of the day. If you want to follow my Goodreads, the username is darceylane, and I will have all my other social medias tagged in the description below as well. Like, comment and subscribe if you did enjoy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!